Level 1. The Patrol Officer. You don't start in SWAT. Nobody does. You start in a patrol car academy first. 28 weeks at the LAPD training facility, learning law, defensive tactics, firearms, pursuit driving. You graduate and they hand you a badge, a gun, and a beat. You're a probationary officer P1, the lowest rung. You ride with a training officer for a year. You answer calls, domestic disputes where both people are bleeding and both are lying. Traffic accidents where you hold a flashlight while the coroner photographs what's left. Burglaries where the victim just wants someone to care, and you take a report. You know, nobody will ever read. You learn that policing is 90% boredom and paperwork and 10% pure chaos. The chaos keeps you coming back. Your first foot pursuit ends in an alley where a man with a knife turns to face you and the training kicks in and you draw your weapon and he drops the knife and you handcuff him and your hands shake for 20 minutes afterward. The sergeant says, "Good job." The shaking doesn't stop. You spend 3 years on patrol, maybe 4, maybe 5. You make P2, then P3. You learn the streets. You learn which apartment buildings have shootings every Friday and which intersections have accidents every morning. You learn the faces of repeat offenders and the names of victims you see too often. You develop instincts. A car parked wrong. A man walking too fast. A woman who says everything's fine, but her eyes say otherwise. You become a decent cop, but decent isn't what you want. You want SWAT. You've wanted it since the academy, when the tactical demonstration team fast-roped from a helicopter and cleared a building in 47 seconds. You start training, running with a weighted vest, shooting on your days off, studying tactical manuals. You need at least P3 to apply. You need at least 3 years on the job. You need to be the kind of officer other officers trust with their lives. Level 2, the selection. SWAT selection is designed to break you. The LAPD runs it out of the Metropolitan Division, which is the department's elite tactical group. You apply along with 200 other officers. They take 20, maybe less. The physical test comes first. Pull-ups, minimum 20. Sit-ups, 80 in 2 minutes. Push-ups, 50 without stopping. 3-mile run under 18 minutes. These are minimums. Scoring minimums means you're already behind. The candidates who make it are running 3 miles in 14 minutes, doing 30 pull-ups. Then comes the tactical evaluation. Shooting under stress, they run you until your heart rate is 180 and then hand you a rifle and tell you to put rounds on a target at 50 yards. Your hands are shaking. Your lungs are burning. Your vision is tunneling. The instructors are screaming in your ear while you try to find your sight picture. Sweat runs into your eyes. You fire. You hit barely. The officers who can't shoot under stress wash out here because a calm range on a Tuesday afternoon doesn't replicate a barricaded suspect shooting back at you through a doorway. Then comes the scenario testing. A simulated hostage rescue with role players screaming and blank rounds cracking off the walls. A barricade situation where you have to communicate with your team while someone is firing at you. An active shooter in a school with civilians everywhere. They evaluate your decision-making under pressure. Do you shoot? Do you hold? Do you communicate? Do you freeze? Do you make the call that saves a life, or the one that takes one? 180 candidates fail. You don't. They notify you on a Friday. Report to Metropolitan Division Monday morning at 0600. Some targets are armed suspects. Some are hostages holding phones that look like weapons in low light. Shoot the wrong one, and you fail. An operator on another team shot a hostage target 3 years ago during a qualification exercise. He was removed from the team that afternoon. Nobody argued, nobody appealed. You learn that SWAT doesn't get second chances because the people behind those doors don't get second chances either. You also learn the brotherhood. These men and women will take a bullet for you. Not metaphorically, literally. The operator to your left will step into a doorway first, knowing he might die so the team can enter behind him. That kind of trust isn't taught, it's forged. Level 4, the breacher. After your probationary year, you specialize. Every operator develops a secondary skill. You choose breaching. The art of getting through doors, walls, and barriers as fast as possible. Mechanical breach, a ram or Halligan tool to force a door. Ballistic breach, a shotgun with a breaching round that destroys a lock or hinge from 2 in a way. Explosive breach, det cord, or a strip charge placed on a door frame that blows the door inward in a fraction of a second. You learn to read a door from across the street. Wood, metal, reinforced, inward swing or outward, deadbolt or chain. Each one requires a different approach, and the wrong approach costs seconds. In a hostage situation, seconds are lives. You train with explosives until the smell of C4 is as familiar as coffee. You learn to calculate charge weight to the gram. Too little and the door doesn't open, and the team is stacked in a fatal funnel with a suspect who now knows you're coming. Too much, and you kill the hostage on the other side or collapse the door frame and block your own entry. The margin between success and catastrophe is measured in grams of explosive and inches of standoff distance. You practice on condemned buildings until every door type is memorized. Your first real breach is a narcotics warrant, a reinforced steel door in a Compton apartment building at 4:00 a.m. The hallway smells like urine and mold. You place a strip charge on the hinges while the team stacks behind you in the darkness. You arm the charge. You look at the team leader. He nods. You squeeze the clacker. The door blows inward. The team flows through the opening like they've done it 1,000 times in training, because they have. 3 suspects detained face down on the floor. 40 kilos of methamphetamine seized from a bedroom closet. No shots fired, no injuries. That's a perfect breach. They rarely go perfect, but when they do, it's the cleanest violence you'll ever see. Level 5, the sniper. Your team leader sees something in you. Patience, stillness, the ability to wait. What's the suspect armed with? What's his mental state? Is he suicidal? Is he homicidal? Is he on methamphetamine? Which makes him unpredictable and resistant to pain. You make these decisions in minutes, with incomplete information and lives hanging on every choice. Your first major call-out as team leader is a bank robbery gone wrong. 3 armed suspects, 7 hostages. The suspects are panicking. Negotiations stall. 1 hostage is diabetic and deteriorating. You develop 3 plans simultaneously. Primary entry through the rear, secondary through the roof. Emergency assault. If a hostage is in imminent danger, you brief the team in a parking lot 2 blocks from the bank using a diagram drawn on the hood of a car. You position the snipers on the building across the street. You wait. Waiting is the hardest part. The negotiator gets 1 suspect to release 2 hostages. Progress. Then the situation deteriorates. A suspect fires a shot inside the bank. You make the call. The team breaches the rear door. Flashbang's entry. Two suspects surrender immediately, dropping their weapons and hitting the floor. One doesn't. He raises his weapon toward the entry team. Your point man fires twice. Center mass. Suspect down. All 7 hostages recovered alive. The paramedics treat the diabetic. She'll be okay. The suspect your operator killed was 23. He had a record going back to age 14. He chose to raise his weapon. Your operator gave him a second to drop it. He didn't. The after-action review takes 6 hours. They dissect every second of the operation. Every decision you made is examined by people who weren't there. The ones that worked, the ones that almost didn't, the one that ended a life. Level 7, the sergeant. SWAT sergeant. You've been on the team 12 years. You're no longer just a tactical leader. You're an administrator. You manage 15 operators. Their training schedules, their equipment, their fitness standards, their personal problems that bleed into the job. The operator whose wife is leaving him because he comes home at 3:00 a.m. smelling like flashbang residue and won't talk about what happened. The operator who's drinking too much since the shooting last month. The sniper who passed his qualification but whose hands were shaking. You know, because you watched through binoculars, you decide who stays and who goes. An operator who can't perform under stress is a liability to the team. A liability on a SWAT team gets people killed. Not maybe, definitely. It's a matter of when, not if. You pull him aside. Not a conversation anyone wants to have. You tell him he needs to talk to someone, a department psychologist, a chaplain, anyone. He says he's fine. They always say they're fine. You've said it yourself 100 times when people asked. You know what fine means in this job? Fine means not fine, but still functioning. Fine means the nightmares aren't every night anymore. Just most nights. You run the team's training program. 40 hours per month minimum. Live fire, scenario-based exercises, physical fitness testing, tactical medicine, less lethal deployment. You design call-out rehearsals that simulate the worst-case scenario every single time because the real ones don't announce their severity in advance. You've been on 400 call-outs in 12 years. You've breached 200 doors. You've heard gunfire from both sides of it. Your knees are destroyed from years of stacking on doors and 60 pounds of kit. Your hearing is permanently damaged from breaching charges and flashbangs detonating in enclosed spaces. Your officers are placed on administrative leave, which means they sit at home replaying the moment over and over while the investigation takes its course. You write reports that will be read by lawyers, city officials, and possibly a federal judge. You testify in front of a civilian review board. 6 months later, the shooting is ruled justified. The mother still calls your team murderers on the anniversary. She'll do it every year. Your operators carry that. You carry that. The public sees the headline. They don't see the 19-year-old pointing a loaded gun at men who have wives and children at home. They don't see the half-second decision window that separates a justified shooting from a dead officer being carried out in a flag-draped casket. Level 9. The commander, SWAT commander, captain or above. You run the entire unit, 60 to 80 operators, equipment budgets in the millions, armored vehicles, helicopters, weapon systems, training facilities. You answer to the chief of police, and the chief answers to the city. You sit in meetings with city officials who want to reduce your budget. They don't understand why you need a $300,000 armored vehicle until the day you need it. And then they wonder why you didn't have 2. You manage the politics of modern tactical policing. The public wants SWAT teams available for school shootings and hostage situations and active terrorists, but protests when they see armored vehicles in their neighborhoods or officers carrying rifles on residential streets. You balance both realities because that is the job at this level. The tactics are someone else's concern. Now the politics are yours. You justify the existence of a paramilitary unit within a civilian police force to people who have never been in a room where someone is trying to kill them. You remind them that the alternative to SWAT is sending regular patrol officers with pistols into situations that require rifle-rated body armor and explosive breaching. That's how officers and civilians die. You've been doing this for 25 years. You've been on the team since you were a P3 with something to prove and nothing to lose. You've breached doors, taken shots, buried friends, stood at attention while taps played over caskets, written letters to families that could never say enough, testified in courtrooms where lawyers tried to make you the villain, and sat in too many hospital waiting rooms praying an officer survived surgery. Your body is a catalog of accumulated damage. Shoulders, knees, back, ears, a hip that predicts rain. The department's insurance covers the visible injuries. The invisible ones you manage alone. Level 10, the cycle. Somewhere in Los Angeles right now, a patrol officer is running with a weighted vest on his day off. He's studying tactical manuals in the break room. He's putting extra rounds downrange after shift because his shooting needs to be perfect, not good. He's been on the job 3 years, and he wants SWAT. He saw the tactical demonstration at the academy, the fast rope from the helicopter. The building cleared in 47 seconds. It looked like something out of a movie. He wants to be that. He doesn't know what it costs. He doesn't know about the 2 a.m. call-outs where you kiss your sleeping daughter's forehead and drive to a house where someone might die. The marriages that don't survive the 15th year. The operators who can't sleep without the TIV on because silence sounds like the moment before a breach. The funerals and dress blues where you carry a flag-draped casket, and the weight on your shoulder is nothing compared to the weight in your chest. The shooting reviews that last months, the faces of the people you've killed that appear without warning on ordinary days. He doesn't know any of that yet. He just knows he's fast and strong and brave, and that SWAT is where the best cops go.